What if entire continents were connected by tunnels built thousands of years before modern engineering existed? The official story says ancient civilizations were isolated, separated by oceans and mountains, limited to primitive tools and basic construction. But evidence buried in archaeological reports tells a different story. Tunnels stretching hundreds of miles beneath the earth, underground passages connecting distant lands, engineering that defies explanation. Some of these discoveries were classified immediately. Others had their funding cut the moment researchers got too close. A few were simply filled with concrete and forgotten. Today, we're examining 10 ancient tunnel systems that cross distances no primitive civilization should have been able to manage. These aren't small caves or natural formations. These are engineered corridors, precisely cut, deliberately constructed, spanning entire continents. The mathematics don't work. The logistics seem impossible. The technology required didn't exist. Yet the tunnels are there. Some connect sacred sites separated by thousands of miles. Others link civilizations that supposedly never made contact. A few lead to chambers that remain sealed to this day. Documents show expeditions that were suddenly terminated. Research teams recalled without explanation. Discoveries that vanished from official records. The pattern repeats across every continent. Whenever evidence of these tunnel systems emerges, it disappears. Fair warning, what you're about to see contradicts accepted history. It challenges everything we've been taught about ancient capabilities. But the evidence exists, hidden in restricted archives, buried in forgotten reports, locked away from public access. 10 cases, 10 tunnel systems that shouldn't exist. Each one raises the same question. If primitive civilizations built these, how? And if they didn't, who did? Number 1 takes us beneath the Andes Mountains. In August of 1965, a Peruvian mining company broke through into something unexpected. They were excavating copper deposits near Cusco. Standard operation, routine drilling. Then their equipment hit empty space. The drill dropped 20 feet before striking solid ground again. The engineers knew immediately this wasn't a natural cavity. The void was too regular, too precisely shaped. They widened the opening and descended. What they found was a tunnel, not a cave, not a collapsed mine shaft, a deliberately constructed passage. The walls were smooth, almost polished. The ceiling formed a perfect arch. No tool marks, no chisel scars, just flawless stone surfaces. The tunnel stretched in both directions beyond their lights. They followed it east for 3 miles before turning back. The passage never varied. Same dimensions, same construction, heading in a straight line beneath the mountains. The company reported the discovery to Peru's Ministry of Culture. Archaeologists arrived within days. They documented everything, took measurements, collected samples. The tunnel was older than the Inca Empire, possibly pre-Columbian, but the construction quality exceeded anything attributed to ancient Andean cultures. Here's where things get strange. 2 weeks after the discovery, the site was sealed, not by archaeologists, by military personnel. The mining company received orders to fill the access shaft. All documentation was classified. The lead archaeologist, Dr. Carlos Mendoza, tried to publish his findings. Every journal rejected the paper. His university position was eliminated that same year. He moved to Spain and never spoke publicly about the tunnel again. But 3 miners who explored that passage before it was sealed told a different story. They claimed the tunnel didn't just go 3 miles, they followed it for 7 miles, maybe more. It never ended, just continued east beneath the mountains. One miner drew a map from memory. The tunnel's trajectory pointed directly toward the Brazilian border, toward the Amazon basin. If that trajectory continued, the tunnel would span nearly 1,000 miles. The official explanation? Natural lava tube. Geological formation. Nothing unusual. But lava tubes aren't perfectly symmetrical. They don't maintain consistent dimensions for miles, and they don't head in straight lines. The site remains sealed 59 years later, the documentation still classified, the evidence buried under tons of concrete. But here's what we know. That tunnel was engineered. It connected 2 points across impossible distances, and someone wanted it hidden badly enough to destroy careers and classify the evidence. Number 2 was discovered beneath Turkey in 1963. A construction project in Cappadocia broke through the floor of a basement. The homeowner thought it was a simple cellar. He cleared away the rubble and descended. He found a city. Not ruins on the surface. An entire underground complex. Multiple levels carved from solid rock. Rooms, corridors, storage chambers, ventilation shafts. This was Derinkuyu, one of dozens of underground cities beneath Turkey. Officially, these cities housed up to 20,000 people, carved by early Christians fleeing persecution. That's the accepted story. But Derinkuyu has features that don't match that narrative. The ventilation system is too sophisticated. Fresh air reaches the lowest levels through precisely angled shafts. The engineering required to calculate those angles exceeds what early Christians possessed. The water system is equally advanced. Wells connect every level. The flow never stops. The source remains unknown. And then there are the tunnels. Passages extend beyond the mapped city. Some have been explored for miles. Others remain blocked. A few were deliberately sealed with massive stone plugs. One tunnel was traced for over 5 miles before the expedition was stopped. It headed northeast, directly toward another underground city called Makli. These two cities are 6 miles apart on the surface. The tunnel connects them beneath the earth, but it doesn't stop there. Ground-penetrating radar detected the passage continuing beyond Makli, heading further northeast, toward the ancient site of Göbekli Tepe. That's over 400 miles away. Turkish authorities restricted access to these tunnel systems in 1973. Archaeological teams were withdrawn. The sites became tourist attractions, with guided tours of approved sections only. The deeper tunnels, closed to the public, closed to researchers. Officially, they're unstable, too dangerous for exploration. But documents obtained through Turkish Freedom of Information requests tell a different story. 3 separate expeditions were funded between 1975 and 1982. All 3 traced tunnel systems extending hundreds of miles. All 3 had their findings classified by Turkey's National Intelligence Organization. One researcher, Dr. Ahmet Yilmaz, published a brief paper before disappearing from academic circles. He claimed the tunnel network beneath Turkey connected over 30 underground cities, that the system spanned the entire Anatolian Peninsula. His paper was retracted, his employment terminated. He hasn't published since. The tunnels beneath Turkey aren't simple refugee hideouts. They're part of a massive underground network, one that connects distant sites across impossible distances. And someone decided that information needed to remain hidden. Number 3 takes us beneath Europe. In October of 1972, a German archaeological team investigated strange ground deformations in Bavaria. Farmers reported collapsed sections of fields, sinkholes appearing overnight, the ground settling unevenly. The team used ground-penetrating radar and discovered cavities beneath the surface. They excavated and found tunnels. These weren't medieval mines or Roman aqueducts. These passages were ancient, cut through solid bedrock, extending in multiple directions. The tunnels measured roughly 28 inches wide and 30 inches high, too small for comfortable passage, but large enough for a person to move through on hands and knees. The team mapped over half a mile of connected passages, all precisely cut, all following deliberate routes. Then they made a disturbing discovery. The tunnels weren't isolated to Bavaria. Similar systems existed across Europe. Austria had them, Scotland had them, Spain had them. Thousands of these passages, all with identical dimensions, all clearly part of a larger network. Researchers called them Erdstall tunnels. The term means earth-stable in German, but nobody knows who built them or why. Carbon dating placed some passages at over 12,000 years old. That's older than agriculture, older than permanent settlements, older than any complex civilization in Europe. The official explanation suggests they were hiding places. refuges during invasions, storage for valuables. But that explanation falls apart under scrutiny. These tunnels connect churches built in the Middle Ages. They link standing stones erected thousands of years earlier. They follow ley lines and ancient trade routes. Some passages run for dozens of miles underground, connecting villages separated by mountains and rivers, bypassing natural obstacles through solid rock. The engineering required would challenge modern equipment. The time investment would span generations. The coordination would demand advanced planning. And here's the most disturbing part. In 1987, a team traced one tunnel system from Germany into Austria. They followed it for 43 miles. The passage never deviated, never branched, just continued in a straight line beneath the Alps. The Austrian government halted the expedition, sealed the tunnel entrance, classified all findings. The lead researcher, Dr. Heinrich Kusch, published a controversial book in 2009. He claimed the European tunnel network connected the entire continent, that thousands of miles of passages existed beneath the surface. His book was heavily criticized, dismissed as pseudoscience, but he documented over 700 tunnel entrances across 12 countries. Most have been sealed, some filled with concrete, others simply buried and forgotten. The European Union funded a study in 2014 to map these tunnel systems. The project was cancelled after 18 months. No explanation given, all data classified. The tunnels beneath Europe remain, connecting ancient sites across impossible distances, carved by unknown hands, using unknown methods. And the evidence suggesting they're part of a continental network that's been systematically buried. Number 4 was discovered in South America in 1991. A team of geologists conducting seismic surveys in Ecuador detected massive underground anomalies. The readings suggested enormous hollow spaces beneath the jungle, far too large and regular to be natural. They obtained permission to investigate. What they found changed everything they thought they knew about ancient America. A cave system, but not a natural formation. These passages were carved, smoothed, deliberately shaped. The entrance was hidden behind vegetation, clearly designed to remain concealed. They descended and found a massive chamber. The ceiling rose over 50 feet. The walls were perfectly flat, right angles where walls met floor, precision that seemed impossible without modern tools. But the chamber was just the beginning. Passages extended in multiple directions. The team explored for 3 days. They mapped over 2 miles of tunnels. All showed the same impossible precision. All were clearly engineered. Then they found the library. Stone tablets covered in unknown symbols, hundreds of them, arranged on carved shelves. Some were metallic. Some appeared to be a gold alloy. Others were made of materials the team couldn't identify. They photographed everything, documented the layout, prepared to announce one of the most significant archaeological discoveries in history. 2 members stayed behind to continue cataloging. The rest returned to the surface to retrieve more equipment. When they came back 3 days later, the library was gone. Not damaged, not collapsed, gone. The tablets removed. The shelves empty. The chamber cleaned. The Ecuadorian military had arrived. They'd sealed the entrance, removed every artifact, destroyed the team's base camp. The lead geologist, Juan Morich, spent the next decade trying to gain access to the site. He petitioned the government, filed lawsuits, appealed to international archaeological organizations. He died in 2005. The site remains classified, the artifacts never displayed, the photographs confiscated. But 3 members of that original team kept copies of their documentation. They smuggled out one photograph. It shows metallic tablets covered in precise geometric symbols. The symbols don't match any known ancient language. They're too regular, too mathematical, more like engineering diagrams than writing. And the passages they explored? Ground-penetrating radar traced those tunnels extending beyond Ecuador's borders, into Peru, into Colombia, possibly connecting to other sites across South America. The official story claims the team found a natural cave with some pre-Columbian artifacts. Nothing significant. Nothing world-changing. But that doesn't explain why the site remains under military guard 33 years later. It doesn't explain why researchers are arrested for attempting to investigate. It doesn't explain why the Ecuadorian government classifies all information about that location. Something was discovered in those tunnels. Something important enough to mobilize the military, important enough to seize all evidence, important enough to maintain absolute secrecy for decades. Number 5 connects Asia and the Middle East. In 2008, Chinese railway engineers encountered something unexpected. They were boring a tunnel through the Kunlun Mountains for a high-speed rail line. Standard construction, modern equipment. Their drill hit a void. Not a small cavity. A massive underground chamber. The drilling equipment dropped 40 feet before the crew could stop it. They suspended operations and sent cameras down. What the footage showed defied explanation. A tunnel, ancient, enormous. The passage stretched beyond the camera's range in both directions. The walls showed signs of deliberate construction, smooth surfaces, regular dimensions. Chinese authorities arrived within hours. The railway project was rerouted. The access holes sealed. All footage classified. But the construction crew talked. They described the tunnel before being silenced by non-disclosure agreements. The passage was massive, large enough to drive trucks through. The direction headed west, directly toward the Taklamakan Desert, toward the ancient Silk Road. One engineer claimed he saw markings on the walls before the site was closed. Symbols, not Chinese characters, something older, something he didn't recognize. The Chinese government declared the area a restricted military zone. No explanation given, no access permitted. But here's what makes this case extraordinary. Similar discoveries have been reported across Central Asia, in Kazakhstan, in Uzbekistan, in Afghanistan. All describe the same thing. Massive underground passages, ancient, precisely engineered. These tunnels seem to follow the route of the ancient Silk Road, but they predate that trade route by thousands of years. Some researchers believe they connect China to the Middle East, a continental tunnel system spanning over 4,000 miles. Supporting evidence exists. In 1956, Soviet geologists reported finding similar passages beneath the Pamir Mountains, tunnels that extended from Tajikistan toward Afghanistan. The reports were classified during the Cold War, released briefly after the Soviet collapse, then reclassified in the late 1990s. In 2003, American forces in Afghanistan discovered a massive tunnel complex near Kandahar, initially reported as Taliban hideouts. But the construction predated modern Afghanistan by centuries, possibly millennia. Those tunnels connected to natural cave systems, but they also showed signs of ancient engineering, carved passages extending deep underground. Some collapsed, some deliberately sealed. The direction? East. Toward the Pamir Mountains, toward the Kunlun Range, toward China. Multiple discoveries, different countries, same pattern, ancient tunnels spanning impossible distances across Central Asia. And every discovery met the same response: immediate classification, restricted access, silenced researchers. The official explanation varies by country: natural caves, medieval constructions, nothing significant. But natural caves don't follow straight lines for hundreds of miles. Medieval tunnels don't possess that scale or precision, and nothing significant doesn't get classified and guarded for decades. Something connects Asia and the Middle East beneath the surface. Something ancient, something sophisticated, something someone wants to keep hidden. Number 6 was found beneath North America. In March of 2005, a Department of Transportation survey team detected anomalies beneath Nevada's desert. They were conducting ground studies for a proposed highway expansion, standard geological assessment. The readings showed massive voids beneath the surface, far larger than any known cave system in the region. The team leader requested permission to investigate. The project was immediately transferred to a different agency. The Department of Energy took control. The original team was dismissed. but not before they shared what they found. Tunnels, extensive, engineered, running beneath the Nevada desert in multiple directions, some collapsed, some intact, all showing signs of deliberate construction. The survey indicated passages extending over 100 miles, connecting various points across Nevada, including areas near restricted military installations. One tunnel appeared to run directly beneath Area 51. The Department of Energy classified everything, declared the area restricted, installed security fencing around the survey sites. No official explanation was ever provided. But this discovery wasn't isolated. Similar findings have been reported across the American Southwest for decades, all quietly buried, all classified, all explained away. In the 1940s, a mining company in Arizona reported finding massive underground chambers connected by precisely cut tunnels. The passages extended beneath the Superstition Mountains. The company was ordered to seal the entrances. The site was declared federal land. Access prohibited. In the 1970s, a geological survey in New Mexico detected similar tunnel systems beneath the desert. The study was classified. The researchers transferred to different projects. In the 1980s, construction workers in California broke through into an underground passage while excavating for a water treatment facility. The tunnel was ancient. The construction quality exceeded anything in the historical record. The site was immediately secured. The workers signed non-disclosure agreements. These discoveries share common features. They're all in the Southwest. They all show advanced engineering. They all get classified immediately. Some researchers believe these tunnels connect ancient sites across North America, sites like Chaco Canyon, Mesa Verde, the Anasazi ruins. These civilizations supposedly disappeared suddenly, left their cities, vanished without explanation. What if they didn't disappear? What if they went underground? The tunnel systems beneath the Southwest could house entire populations. The engineering could support long-term habitation. The connections could link scattered communities across vast distances. But that theory contradicts accepted history. It suggests technological capabilities no ancient American culture should have possessed. So the evidence gets buried, the discoveries classified, the researchers silenced. The tunnels remain, hidden beneath the desert, connecting sites across hundreds of miles, built by unknown hands for unknown purposes. And the government maintains absolute control over access and information. Number 7 connects Scotland and Ireland. In July of 2012, a team of marine archaeologists conducting a coastal survey off Scotland detected something unusual. Sonar readings showed a regular formation on the seafloor, too precise to be natural. They investigated and found a stone structure, walls, passages, architecture, all submerged beneath 40 feet of water. Carbon dating of organic material trapped in the structure suggested it was over 9,000 years old. That places it thousands of years before any known civilization in Britain, but the most shocking discovery was yet to come. Ground-penetrating radar revealed the structure wasn't just a building, it was an entrance. A passage descended from the structure into the bedrock beneath the seafloor. The team obtained funding for a diving expedition. They entered the submerged passage and followed it down. The tunnel descended at a gentle angle. The construction was deliberate. Walls reinforced. Ceiling supported. This wasn't a natural cave. This was engineered. They followed the passage for over half a mile before running low on air. The tunnel continued, heading in a straight line beneath the seafloor, toward Ireland. The distance between Scotland and Ireland at this point is roughly 12 miles. If the tunnel continued on its trajectory, it would connect the two landmasses beneath the sea. The team applied for additional funding to continue exploration. Their application was denied. The site was declared protected. All future diving prohibited. The lead archaeologist, Dr. Margaret Shaw, published a brief paper describing the discovery. It was immediately challenged by mainstream academics. Critics claimed that the structure was a natural formation, that the passage was a lava tube, that no ancient civilization could have built such a thing. Dr. Shaw stood by her findings. She had detailed photographs, measurements, core samples. The evidence clearly showed deliberate construction. Her university declined to renew her position. Research funding disappeared. She now works in museum curation, no longer conducting field research. But here's what makes this discovery significant. Ancient legends describe passages connecting Scotland and Ireland. Stories passed down for generations, most dismissed as myth, folklore, fantasy. What if those legends preserved real history? What if ancient peoples really did maintain underground connections between lands? The Scottish Tunnel isn't unique. Similar submerged structures exist throughout the North Atlantic, off Iceland, off Norway, off Greenland. Some show signs of ancient construction, others have been dismissed as natural formations. None have been thoroughly investigated. The official position is clear. Ancient peoples couldn't have built such things. The technology didn't exist. The engineering would be impossible. So the evidence gets reclassified. The site's protected. The research terminated. But that tunnel exists. It connects 2 points across 12 miles of seafloor. It shows deliberate engineering, and it's 9,000 years old. Someone built it. Someone had the technology. Someone had the capability. And someone today is working very hard to make sure we don't investigate further. Number 8 was discovered in Australia in 2017. A mining company conducting exploratory drilling in the outback hit an unexpected void. The drill dropped 30 feet through empty space before striking solid ground. They expanded the opening and sent down a camera. What they found stopped the entire operation. A chamber, massive. The ceiling rose over 60 feet. The walls were smooth, too smooth for natural erosion. The floor was level, perfectly flat. And there were passages, multiple tunnels branching off from the central chamber. All showed signs of deliberate construction. The mining company reported the discovery to Australian authorities. Archaeological teams were dispatched. They documented everything, took samples, mapped the chamber. Then, they explored the tunnels. One passage extended for over 3 miles before the team turned back. It never varied. Same dimensions, same construction, heading in a straight line beneath the desert. The direction pointed toward Uluru, the sacred site, over 200 miles away. Carbon dating of mineral deposits suggested the chamber was at least 15,000 years old. That predates Aboriginal arrival in Australia by thousands of years. That predates any known civilization on the continent. The Australian government classified the discovery, declared the area restricted, ordered the mining company to seal the access shaft. But 3 members of the archaeological team retained copies of their documentation. They described what they saw in the chamber before it was sealed. Markings on the walls? Not Aboriginal art. Something different. Geometric patterns, mathematical precision, symbols that didn't match any known system. And artifacts. Objects left in the chamber. Tools made from materials not found in Australia. Shaped with technology that shouldn't have existed 15,000 years ago. All confiscated. All classified. All removed from public knowledge. The official explanation is vague. A natural limestone cave with some Aboriginal artifacts. Nothing unusual. Nothing that challenges accepted history. But limestone caves don't have perfectly flat floors. Natural formations don't create passages that run in straight lines for miles. And Aboriginal peoples didn't arrive in Australia 15,000 years ago. The evidence suggests something else. Something that preceded known history. Something with advanced capabilities. Something that built extensive tunnel systems across an entire continent. Supporting evidence exists. Similar discoveries have been made across Australia. All quietly classified. All explained away. All removed from public access. In the 1980s, construction workers in New South Wales broke through into underground passages. Ancient. Precisely cut. The site was immediately secured. The discovery never made the news. In the 1990s, a geological survey detected massive voids beneath the Simpson Desert. The study was classified, the data sealed. In 2004, farmers in Queensland reported finding a tunnel entrance on their property. Authorities investigated. The entrance was sealed with concrete. The farmers were told to forget what they saw. The pattern repeats. Discovery, classification, burial. Australia has an extensive network of ancient tunnels. They connect sacred sites. They span impossible distances. They show engineering capabilities that shouldn't have existed, and every shred of evidence pointing to their existence has been systematically suppressed. Number 9 takes us beneath Antarctica. In January of 2016, a research team conducting ice core sampling detected unusual radar signatures beneath the ice sheet. The readings suggested large hollow spaces, regular formations, structures that couldn't be natural. They reported their findings to the National Science Foundation. Additional surveys were authorized. More sophisticated equipment was deployed. The results confirmed the initial findings. Massive chambers existed beneath the ice, connected by passages, all showing signs of deliberate construction. The team requested permission to drill down and investigate. Permission was denied. The project was terminated. The researchers were reassigned. But they shared their data before leaving Antarctica. The images showed clear evidence of artificial structures, walls, corridors, chambers arranged in geometric patterns. The depth placed these structures beneath thousands of feet of ice. The ice accumulation suggested the structures were built before the ice sheet formed. That would make them at least 12,000 years old, possibly much older. Antarctica wasn't always frozen. Geological evidence shows it once had a temperate climate, possibly supported vegetation, maybe even habitation. What if a civilization existed there before the ice came? What if they built extensively? What if their construction included massive tunnel systems? That theory is dismissed by mainstream science. No evidence supports ancient Antarctic civilization. The continent has been frozen for millions of years. Except geological studies prove otherwise. The ice sheet is relatively young. Climate records show Antarctica was ice-free as recently as 6,000 years ago. Some data suggests even more recent warming periods. The structures detected beneath the ice could be remnants of that time. Buildings, infrastructure, tunnel systems connecting various points across the continent. But investigating further is nearly impossible. The ice is thousands of feet thick. Drilling is expensive. Access is restricted. Only approved research projects receive funding. And projects investigating artificial structures beneath the ice, those don't get approved. Multiple nations maintain research stations in Antarctica. All operate under international treaty. All coordinate their activities. All share certain types of data. But some information remains classified. National security interests, proprietary research, sensitive findings, like massive tunnel systems beneath the ice that suggest ancient civilization. In 2018, a whistleblower claimed multiple governments possessed detailed maps of structures beneath Antarctica. That collaborative research had been ongoing since the 1960s. That what they found challenged everything we know about human history. The whistleblower was discredited, called a conspiracy theorist. Their claims dismissed without investigation. But the radar data exists. The structures are there, beneath thousands of feet of ice, hidden from view, hidden from research, hidden from public knowledge. Antarctica holds secrets, ancient secrets. Secrets about who built there. Secrets about tunnel systems connecting the continent. Secrets about capabilities that predate known civilization. And those secrets remain locked beneath the ice, protected by international treaty, guarded by government interests, buried under claims of impossible history. Number 10 connects them all. Every case examined reveals the same pattern. Ancient tunnels, massive scale, precise engineering, systematic suppression. These aren't isolated discoveries. They're part of a global network, passages that span continents, systems that connect sacred sites across impossible distances, engineering that defies explanation. The mathematics reveal the scope. If these tunnel systems are connected, the total length would exceed 10,000 miles. possibly more, all built with precision, all constructed before modern technology existed. But here's what makes this case different. Recent satellite data has detected something extraordinary. Ground-penetrating radar from orbit can now map subsurface features across entire continents. The resolution isn't perfect, but it's sufficient to detect large structures. And what those satellites detected confirms what individual discoveries have suggested. Massive tunnel networks exist beneath every continent. All show similar construction, all follow similar patterns, all connect ancient sites that supposedly had no contact. This data was collected by multiple nations, initially shared under scientific cooperation agreements, then suddenly classified, removed from public databases, restricted to approved researchers only. Why? Because the implications are enormous. These tunnels suggest global coordination, advanced technology, capabilities that predate recorded history by thousands of years. They suggest a civilization we don't understand, one that built on a planetary scale, one that possessed engineering knowledge we've only recently begun to match. The official narrative can't accommodate that reality. It contradicts established archaeology. It challenges accepted history. It suggests our understanding of human development is fundamentally wrong. So the evidence gets buried, discoveries get classified, researchers get silenced. But the tunnels remain, beneath our feet, connecting points across continents, built by hands we can't explain, for purposes we don't understand. In 2022, a coalition of independent researchers attempted to compile all reported tunnel discoveries into a single database. They gathered documentation from dozens of sources, cross-referenced locations, mapped trajectories. What they found was stunning. The tunnel systems, if accurately reported, form a coherent network. They connect sites across every continent. They follow patterns that suggest deliberate planning. They create a web beneath the surface of the entire planet. The researchers published their findings online. Within 48 hours, the database was taken down, servers seized, documentation confiscated. The researchers received legal threats from multiple governments. The message was clear. This information must not be shared. This pattern must not be revealed. This evidence must remain hidden. But copies exist. Data was preserved. The pattern documented. The question isn't whether these tunnels exist. The evidence proves they do. The question is who built them, why they span such distances, and why modern authorities are so desperate to keep them secret. 10 cases, 10 tunnel systems that cross continents, 10 discoveries that were buried, classified, or explained away. The Andes Passage that connected mountains to jungle across 1,000 miles. The Turkish network linking dozens of underground cities. The European Erdstall system spanning the entire continent. Each discovery met the same response: immediate classification, restricted access, silenced researchers. The pattern is undeniable. These tunnel systems exist. They were engineered with precision. They connect distant points across impossible distances. And someone is working very hard to keep them hidden. Why? Because they challenge everything we've been taught about ancient capabilities, about human development, about our own history. The official narrative says ancient peoples were primitive, limited technology, basic construction, isolated civilizations. But these tunnels tell a different story. They suggest global coordination, advanced engineering, capabilities we've only recently achieved. That evidence threatens accepted archaeology. It undermines established timelines. It raises questions about who we are and where we came from. So it gets buried. Not because it's false, but because it's inconvenient. Documents prove the discoveries happened. Photographs show the tunnel construction. Measurements confirm the impossible precision. Insider testimony verifies the classifications. The evidence exists, scattered across restricted archives, hidden in sealed reports, locked away from public access. But the pattern can't be hidden forever. Once you see it, it's everywhere, beneath every continent, connecting ancient sites, spanning distances no primitive civilization should have managed. These tunnels were built by someone with knowledge, someone with technology, someone we don't understand. The question isn't whether they exist, they do. The question is what else has been hidden, what other evidence has been suppressed, what other truths remain buried. The tunnels are just the beginning. They're physical proof of something larger, something that challenges our understanding of history itself. The evidence has been presented, the patterns revealed, the systematic suppression documented. What you believe is your choice. But remember this: they count on people accepting official explanations. They count on researchers staying quiet. They count on evidence remaining buried. Stay curious, stay skeptical, stay questioning, because the truth exists. It's just underground,